First, Chris, welcome. Dwayne, always a pleasure. Eddie, hope you enjoy it. So we're New Black. I'm Andre, I'm your brand designer. This is Zanetta, our footwear designer, and Vince, our color material designer. And our story begins somewhere in Manhattan with you, obviously, Eddie-san, the Yellow Don, diplomat of the Imperial Huang dynasty. And we see him here just chilling, waiting for something to pop off. A samurai of the Big Apple, you're the epitome of refined manhood. And you go by the code of the warrior. Every day, you practice your physical activity. You got a real strict devotion to your duty. And what's most important is you always got 100% focus on the task at hand. Sometimes, literally. We see the swag. I mean, hairline crispy, sweatsuit dripping, whip game crazy. In Shy, you're Mike. Boston, you're Kenny. Miami, Tim. Orlando, Penny. And so, really, what puts you above and beyond the rest of the so-called samurais is your farewell ritual when you go off to, battle, handle your business. One is the sipping of your sangria sake, color pink Chardonnay, of course. And what's most important is your farewell meal before you step out, which is always a nice cut of your favorite type of sushi. So with that, we kind of created the story of Eddie-san. And we, on a more serious note, first of all, we know you're not Japanese. That's not why we chose this. We were first inspired by a story that we heard from you where you said you brought in seaweed to school one time for show and tell, and you got made fun of. Kids thought it was shark poop, and it was a whole thing. So that was the first jumping off point to get where we were at. And then we took your love and affirmation for samurai films, as well as obviously you're a chef and you're a cook. So we kind of wrapped all those up into one nice bundle, and we think you're really going to like it. So I'm going to pass it to Vince, and he's going to take you through some of our color exploration.
Thanks, Andre. So as Andre said, we started with the seaweed. So we looked at that color palette, we looked at the textures. We then evolved the conversation to sushi. And so we looked at salmon, we looked at the rice, we looked at all the textures there. We then looked at where the samurai lives, and we looked at the greenery, the trees, the terracotta roofs, and just Japan in general. So the shoe that we were selected was the EQ Support Refined, and the turbo pink and the white were the two main colors here that sort of inspired us. These were the elements and the ingredients that we will use for the shoe that Zanetta will take you through shortly. So there's EVA rubber-based outsole, synthetic reflected material, and we used the toe box for support. One of the 4 shoes that we bought was the EQT Boost 93. These were the parts that we used for the shoe. So there's an engineered knit with engineered support. It's got energy returning boost for extra comfort, and a semi-transparent TPU strap. This is where the salmon comes in. So we were able to find a shoe that really represented the salmon color, but also the textures and the layers and the levels of the flavor. And then we needed to bring in the Japanese elements. So we found this shoe, which is a M&D shoe that just dropped a couple of weeks ago. So we're really happy to see that. These are the elements we pulled out of that. And the final shoe was the Stella McCartney collab with Adidas, the Pure Boost. This is where we were able to find the dried seaweed color palette, Japanese-inspired prints, and we ended up using the outsole in a very interesting and innovative way that Zanetta is just about to take you through.
Oh, okay, cool. This way. All right. So with samurai being our inspiration, I started looking at their aesthetic, and specifically the horsemen, the samurai horsemen. And they wear the kimono, which actually wraps around, and also the hakama, which is actually the pants that they wear. It looks symmetrical, but actually it's symmetrical because it has 7 deep pleats, which pays tribute to their 7 virtues that goes to the samurai way. The way that they dress is they like free motion of movement. They like to be precise and swift, comfortable, and also when they are within any situation that they're in, they like to be versatile, meaning they like to use different swords, they use knives, and they use bows. So with all that being stated, in our design, I wanted to incorporate versatility, comfort, precision, and also a symmetrical design to it. So after watching, serious samurai movies, specifically Kung Fu Panda with the moves and stuff, they did a lot of forward motion, and they also go a little to the side. So I want to add functionality to our design, where we had to add toe protection and also a lacing system that keeps the foot secured. So with this process being a little bit different, with us actually selecting the shoes first, I couldn't really get the sketching. I had to see it full circle. So we did start with sketching, but we moved on to actually making prototypes. And with the making prototypes, basically getting like a lace in, taping it up, and then deconstructing it, we was overwhelmed because there's so many different elements that we wanted to put on this shoe. And like you stated, you want a seamless design. So it was kind of trying to find that balance between the two. So again, we was frustrated, we was annoyed, but once we saw the Stella sole and we saw how flexible it was like our answers were, not answers, but our questions were answered. We wanted that versatility, and by using this as our lacing system, we was able to give you basically any choice that you want when it comes to actually lacing up your shoe. So we was able to wrap this around where it becomes part of the lacing system, where we take this unconventional sole and make it into something a little bit more and beautiful. And we made our first prototype. So highlighted in the green is basically the unconventional materials that we use, where we got the, not lacing, but the TPU and the boost from the EQT that we selected. Also, we got the Stella McCarthy sole and put that on top to wrap around from the medial side over to the lateral. And then lastly, we got another part of the EQT where we use that to add a little bit of pop on the medial side. That way, the dark pink comes from the lateral and makes full circle to the medial. So with all these ingredients, including the materials, we were able to come up with this design.
Thanks. Yeah. So Chris, I think this might be where you can come in and help us out a lot. Obviously, we hope Eddie likes the shoes. They're curated just for you. But we think these need to hit the market like today. So based on a few of your personal favorite cuts of sushi, we kind of crafted 3 colorways that we think would be really well received by the general public and would probably make a big splash in the marketplace very soon. So that was the plan for your cuts of sushi. We have even more colorways to present to you. But for now, we have kind of an appetizer tray of materials for you to look at, and of course your main course, the shoes are in this box. So thank you, and we hope you enjoy.